I'm really excited to share with you the craft activity that I've got on the Virtual Village Hall this morning. Even if you don't feel that you're crafty or artistic, there's a big cheat, so even you can have a go at doing it. It's easier for me to show you from the top rather than holding it up. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to pop you down straight away. I'll show you what it is and then we'll get started on the session. So this morning I'm going to be showing you how to make these treat and trinket bowls. Here's my stash of Bounty celebrations. Controversially, they are my favourite celebration, closely followed by Maltesers. Pop in the chat, let me know which are your favourite celebrations. Or do you favour Quality Streets or Heroes at this time of the year? Let me know. So you can use them for treat bowls. Just make sure that if you're putting any food into these, that they're wrapped food like sweets rather than anything without a wrapping, because these aren't really made for food. They are though made from using a leaf, and if you can see there, you've got a really beautiful detail that Mother Nature does all the work for you, because we're going to be using leaves to make these imprints. You can leave them like this, so just really nice and natural and rustic, very delicate, a little bit rough around the edges if that's your thing, or if you want to, you can make them like this. So this is one, a smaller one that I'm going to be using as my little ring and jewellery bowl. If you want to give them a little bit of bling, then you can add some gold leaf and also a tinted varnish. I'm going to show you how to make both of them in today's session on the Virtual Village Hall using air dry clay and leaves. Simple as that. So all of the equipment and materials that you need are in the show notes above. The only thing I did actually fail to put in the show notes this time was a bowl. You're just going to need a bowl with the cling film. That's going to give you this beautiful curved effect. You need that as the air dry clay dries. So give me a couple of seconds just to move everything out of the way and then move all my clay and bits back in so we can get started. And while I'm doing that, please do pop in the comments, as well as let me know what's your favourite celebration, Heroes, Quality Street, Sweets. Also let me know where you're watching from this morning. Always lovely to hear from you on the Virtual Village Hall. Okay, so this is the third part in a series that I'm doing, how to use the block of air dry clay. This is a kilogram block and they cost about between £4 and £5. Although I popped into a large craft store this week and they were selling kilo clay, their own make, for £2. So it's a really good investment. You can make lots of different things from these. They come in a few different colours as well. I'm going to use the white one, but I've also got terracotta or black. You can do that with these, although the black and the terracotta won't take the glaze, but they will take a nice gold leaf, and they look just as beautiful like this one just left without any varnish or any gold leaf at all. So that's the clay that we're going to be using. So I need to get my knife, sharp knife, and I'm just going to take cut a block off. So the amount you need to take will depend on the size of the bowl that you want. So if you've got a large leaf and a large bowl, so that's a nice large leaf, then you're going to need a large piece of clay. The thickness that you need to roll it out, it does really depend on the effect that you want. So this one here is quite a thin, I've rolled it out fairly thinly, sort of just a couple of millimeters thick. This one's a little bit more chunky, so that's probably up to sort of 4 millimeters thick. Just remember that the thicker the clay, the thicker you roll your clay out, the more time it's going to take to dry. So just kind of bear that in mind if you're sort of running short on time for making these. Okay, so I think that should be enough. Probably best to put out more clay than you want, because you can always just put it back in. So I'm just going to mould that just to make sure that it's all nice and sort of moulded together so we don't get any cracks. And then just using, clear that jewellery away, so it won't end up getting clay on that. And just using a rolling pin on a smooth flat surface, start rolling out your clay. And I just turn it every once in a while, just to make sure it's not sticking. So I'm going to go with the thin one today. So quite nice and thin. It's quite thin in the middle now, so I'm just going to even out the sides. There we are. And I'm going to go for this size leaf, so I'm not going to go for a massive bowl today. And if you print it with the vein side down, leave the stalk on, and that will become clear as to why I say that in a minute. And don't worry if the leaf isn't perfect. I actually quite like ones that are a little bit jagged, because it adds to the handmade, natural, sort of rustic feel of these bowls. The leaves that you want, there's still quite a few autumn leaves around actually, but don't go for ones that are crispy. So for example, this one is a bit too crispy. Use them fairly quickly after you've picked them up, if they are still sort of fairly malleable. Just make sure they're totally clean and dry. And all you need to do is just place your leaf, as I said, vein side down onto the clay that you've rolled out. You can either use your fingers to press down, or very carefully with a rolling pin, or what I find the easiest thing to do is to use something like just another piece of plastic perspex, something that's really nice and flat. This will give you a nice even, I'm going to stand up for this. This will give you a nice even pressure, nice even print without making any finger mark holes. So it'll be the same depth all over. Just make sure I go all over it, and I'm going to have to very carefully take it off and move it slightly just to get that bit in as well. And I don't mind that some of them have creased up. I quite like that. Okay, and this is where you leave the stalk on, because it makes it much easier to take off. And as you do it, just double check that it's made some really good impressions. If not, just put it back on and you can just go over any bits that you might have missed. I think that's all looking pretty good. Then go back to your knife. Just going to make sure that it's going to come up easily before I cut it. So let's cut it on here. So take your knife and then just go round the contours, the shape of the leaf. And you can be as exact as you like with this bit. So if you've just joined us on the Virtual Village Hall, you've come to the third in a 4-part series where I'm giving you some ideas of using air dry clay. So far we've done ceramic keepsakes, we've also done flower frogs, or what you might call flower stem holders to pop top vases with, and today we are making these treat and trinket bowls from leaves as our imprint. So I've rolled out the clay, I've made the imprint with the leaf, and now I'm just cutting it out. So I haven't had to draw anything, so it's a great one if you'd like to have a go at craft but aren't very confident, sort of maybe with art or drawing. It's a really easy one, and it's quite quick as well. As you can see, it's the drying time that takes the time. Okay, lovely. So as you can see, I've left these a bit jagged. Now if you wanted very smooth lines, then all you need to do is just wet your fingers just with water and then just smooth the edges, but I'm going to leave this jagged edge. I then take my bowl, and I've just got a piece of cling film just sitting nicely in the bowl. I'm going to pop my leaf in, just carefully arrange it, and that will now dry in a bowl shape. And depending on the thickness that you've rolled your clay out to, will depend on how long it will take to dry. And because we've got plastic underneath, it's going to take a little bit longer. So when I did the samples, these probably took about 3 to 4 days to dry, just sort of at normal room temperature. So as I say, just bear that in mind if you're making these and you're under a little bit of time pressure. So I can set that aside to dry, and then once it's dry, you can either just leave it as it is, which I think they're beautiful as they are anyway, or you can add a little bit of colour and some gold leaf as well, and that's now what I'm going to show you how to do. But first of all, I'm going to put my clay back, make sure it's nicely wrapped up again, ready for my next use of the clay next week. Right. Once your bowl is dry like this, you can then varnish it, and you might want to add a little bit of colour to that varnish. So all I've got here in this jam jar lid is some just normal furniture varnish, so nothing special there. Go for either, if you're going for a water-based paint, a water-based varnish, then you'll want to just colour it with a water-based paint. So acrylic paint works fine. You can also use like a drawing ink, that works fine as well. Just put the varnish in to a little pot or a jar lid like this, add just the tiniest amount of colour. Remember, it's always easier to add more than take it away. Then take a nice soft brush and paint the varnish on. And you'll see that those veins really start to show up as you do this. You can paint just one side, leave the other side clear. If you are going to put gold leaf onto the other side or either side, then just make sure you varnish that side as well, because the glue for the gold leaf does need something sort of to stick to. The clay is really porous once it's dry, so you can't, so the glue won't quite, the gold leaf won't work if you put it straight onto the clay. And also I would recommend varnishing one side, leave it to dry, then varnishing the other, rather than do it all in one go. Time wise, the instructions will be on the varnish that you use, but I know that this one is sort of touch dry within an hour, so I know that in an hour I could just paint the back, so that's fine. Just want to get some of those streaks out. Oh, lovely. So that's my bowl glazed or varnished. Then I can add, once everything is dry, I can add the gold leaf. So here's another shaped leaf that I used, and I've just put the glue for the gold leaf on the back. It needs about 15 minutes just before you put the gold leaf on, and I did this just before we started this morning, so this is now just sort of tacky enough just to take the gold leaf. So gold leaf out the packet. And my hands always shake terribly when I use gold leaf for some reason, so excuse the shaking. And I don't really want on mine sort of a really perfect covering. I quite like that some of this is splitting so that you can see the blue underneath. So I want that sort of vintage feel. So rather than just laying one sheet of gold leaf over, I'm just going to do it in sections. And I just use like a soft cloth just to put that on. And I did at the sides as well, so I've got like the sides having a bit of gold leaf on them too. Doesn't want to stick onto that bit either. It's dried a bit too much, or I didn't do it, so I'll go back to that bit. Oh, it's so flimsy. If you've used gold leaf before, it's so flimsy. It's almost like it's not even there. But it does really make something really special, I think. Okay. I said I'll re-glue that bit later. I just want to finish the back. And I'm just overlapping pieces just to make sure that, although I do want it sort of a little bit vintage looking, I don't want it to look like I've missed bits. It's aged rather than just not finished off properly. There we are. I think this is why they say use a soft cloth, but I do find it easy just using my fingers. Okay, so according to the instructions, I need to leave that for 2 to 3 hours just to completely dry, which I will do. But once that has happened, brush. Once that's totally dry, what I will then do is just go over with a soft brush, just go all the way over, and then the parts that aren't stuck, we'll just flake off. I'll make sure I catch all of those. I can either save them for another project or dispose of them like that. You can see that's sort of just starting to work, but I won't do all of it because it will end up sort of ruin it. There we go. It's quite satisfying actually. So I do that, and then that's how you end up with your little treat or trinket bowls, ready for wrapped sweets or your jewellery. Lovely for yourself or to give away as gifts. So what do you think? How easy do you think that might be to do for you? Please do let me know in the comments. And if you've got any questions at all, please add them to the comments. Although I can't see them the way my setup is live, I will make sure that I go over afterwards and check through them. Also, you can save this video for later, just in case you haven't got time to do it today. Just click the 3 circles. I think it'll either be in the top right or the bottom right, depending on how you're watching this today. Click save, and that'll save that to your saved videos. And also you can share this as well. Share this with friends, share it with family, share it with other groups that you're associated with. You can make lots of these from the clay, but don't use it all up this week, because next week at the same time, Thursday 11 AM, I will be sharing with you the last in the series of ideas for using air dry clay, and we're going to be making rustic place settings. So I hope you'll be able to join me then. Again, thanks for watching, and I will see you next time. Take care. Bye.